Welcome. This is the Model Viewer Generating an LDM in Excel webinar, a resource for SDSFIE training. This training resource is designed for all users who need to generate a logical data model in Excel format. There are 3 recommended prerequisites for this webinar: watching the Understanding the Vector Standard video, or the abbreviated version entitled What is SDSFIE-V, the SDSFIE Portal and Tool Overview video, or its abbreviated version entitled What are the SDSFIE Portal and Tools, and the SDSFIE Portal and Tools Model Viewer video, or its abbreviated version, Model Viewer Overview. The 3 background training resources listed here are optional, but they may add to your overall understanding of SDSFIE. All of these videos are accessible from the support section of the SDSFIE portal at the URL shown. The overall goal for our training resources is that all SDSFIE users understand the purpose, structure, and parts of the SDSFIE family of standards, or standards framework, and how to implement those standards. The specific objectives for this presentation are that the audience gains an understanding of the following: how to use Model Viewer to generate a logical data model, or LDM, as a plain Excel workbook, and how to format the element property records within the workbook using an Excel macro. I will now demonstrate the Generate LDM functionality of the Model Viewer tool. The example that I will use for the LDM generation demo is all of the cemetery entities plus the burial site entity from the Army Headquarters model. In this demo, I will first use Model Viewer, then a File Manager window on my computer, and finally, the Microsoft Excel program. At the top of the SDSFIE portal's homepage, logged-in SDSFIE portal users are presented with a set of cards that link directly to the tools, including Model Viewer. Clicking on its card opens the Model Viewer tool in a new tab. Model Viewer starts with the Model Selection panel open in the sidebar, where we select the model and a set of entities to generate. Generate is the other panel that we will use today, and it opens by clicking its tab. Note that both Generate buttons are inactive. These buttons are activated when a model and one or more entities within it are selected. So, we will go back to the Model Selection panel and select Army as the component, and the Army Headquarters adaptation as the data model. We can now see all of the entities in the Army model in the tree view. Rather than looking through all 282 entities, to select the set of cemetery and burial site entities, I will collapse the tree at the model level, expand at the model level, expand the cemetery operations functional dataset, select all cemetery operations entities, scroll down to, and then expand the cultural resources functional dataset, and finally, select the burial site entity. Now that our 7 entities to be generated are selected, we can return to the Generate panel, where the 2 Generate buttons are now active. Pressing the Generate Logical Model button, our last interaction with Model Viewer in this use case, extracts the elements from the Army model and creates a zip file that is downloaded to my computer. If I go to my downloads and find the logicalmodel.zip file and extract that file to a new logical model folder, then I see that the zip file contained 3 files: a logicalmodel.xlsx Excel workbook, a makelinks.bas file, a Visual Basic file that contains 2 macros that are optionally run in Excel to provide formatting for the workbook, and a readme.txt file, which every savvy user would open first. Of the 11 steps in the README, the first is to open the Excel file. The first thing to note is that there are 5 tabbed worksheets in this Excel workbook, 1 sheet for each of the primary element types in an SDSFIE logical data model. In the Entity sheet, the 7 selected entities from the Army model and their properties are present. In the Attribute sheet, all of the attributes on those 7 entities are present. The Enumeration sheet contains the enumerations that are used to constrain attributes in our selected set of elements. The Enumerant sheet contains the enumerants in those enumerations. There are no associations between these 7 entities, so the Association sheet has no entries. Notice also that there is no formatting in the workbook. Following the remaining 10 steps in the README text file, which is optional, provides that formatting. Once the formatting has been established, the workbook contents now look like this. Each sheet is now an Excel table, with links between the entity and attribute sheets established, and links between a constraining enumeration in the attribute sheet to that entry in the enumeration sheet, to the set of enumerants for that enumeration in the enumerant sheet. This concludes our demonstration of generating a logical data model and understanding the Excel workbook output. This concludes the Model Viewer Generating an LDM in Excel training. If you want to learn about SDSFIE at a high level, SDSFIE governance and use, more on the Model Viewer tool, or other detailed SDSFIE topics, visit our training resources page at the URL listed here. Thank you for your interest in SDSFIE.